Hi there YouTube, Cage Side London, back once again with another video. And as promised, we're going to be talking about the new Netflix documentary that's just happened, that's just been released, Mr. McMahon. We're going to be doing this in episode order, and we're going to be starting off with episode 1, entitled Junior. So now this is the first episode out of the 6-part episode for the docu-series, and it is talking about Mr. McMahon Senior as well as Mr. McMahon Jr., as we all know as Vince McMahon. In this episode, it really kind of lays the ground to how Vince actually got started in the business. I think one of the actual touching details that first comes out in this is kind of Vince's childhood and the fact that he was actually abused by his stepfather. And there's also a common theme or a common saying that once, like, if you've been abused, you then sometimes become the abuser. And I think just from these allegations that we know have come to light as of recent from January, and in regards to Janel Grant and hush money, I think this is quite a poignant moment. I don't know whether this is going to get touched upon from other YouTubers, or whether it's going to be noted down. But that's one of my takeaways, is that he's from this episode anyway. Right from the gate, we're talking about his situation, and the fact that he was actually once abused when he was a young kid, and then he went from his stepfather, and as he said, there wasn't a day gone by where he wouldn't get beat up, and it was a regular occurrence in his life. Then he went to move on with his actual legitimate blood father, his dad, Vince McMahon. No, sorry, not Vince McMahon. McMahon Senior, and that's how then he got an eye for the business, because that's how his dad owned the wrestling business at the time, which then eventually he would take over and go against all of the other wrestling territories, so the AWA, the NWA, and compete against them, but not just compete, take over the whole territorial system, and then be known as to what is now the World Wrestling Federation at the time, or the WWE. So it kind of killed off their businesses, and it goes to show really the mentality of Vince. As I said in previous videos on the lead up to this, that he will stop at no means necessary to get to where he needs to get to, and he done that even in his early stages of his career. It's that ruthlessness mentality, and as I said before, to be at the level of that he was, in terms of the business credentials and the way he projected the wrestling business all the way up to the top, there is to the juggernaut that we now know as TKO and WWE. That is the way that you get it done. He was ruthless, aggressive, and that's how he got it done. But I will start off by saying as well, I will point out as well that in the opening credits of this episode, it does state, it does show the 2020 film log, when Vince was being interviewed by the producers of this docu-series, and then obviously it then alludes to the allegations that have been made, and then the in regards to the Janel Grant lawsuit, and that they stopped filming. So I think, as you'll soon see, because I'm in the middle of watching it as I speak, in terms of the other episodes, the second episode, which I will be covering, covers a lot more in terms of the steroids scandal, and when he went on trial for that, and it should be a good, interesting take on how this is leading up to. And I'm actually quite surprised with the in-depthness of this, and even to do with the Ring Boy scandal, which I'll be talking about in my next video. But a lot of interesting facts that even I wasn't aware of, in terms of the allegations that were made. Jimmy Snuka I knew about, for instance, but there was some areas which to me wasn't public knowledge, or that I didn't have wind of myself. So I think the level of detail that the producers gone into, and the level of depth in terms of interviews from Vince and Tony Atlas and Bret Hart, and all of these people, It's good. It's good. I mean, I'm quite surprised by the amount of detail that we've just got, even from the first few episodes that I've seen, and even from episode one right at the gate. We see that Vince says, his dad told him that he loved him one time, and that was the day before he died. And then you have Tony Atlas just contradicting it straight after, just going, I think he hated him. I think Vince McMahon Jr. hated Senior. And the reason being is because they clashed a lot. And it was quite clear to see that Vince McMahon wanted to go into the entertainment business, whereas his dad, wanted to be very stringent and keep it to the way it is, and didn't want to disrupt the territorials, the other territories, and just be all about the good old school professional wrestling storytelling. But Vince wanted to move it to the entertainment direction, which is kind of really what we see this day and age. A lot of like spin-off shows, he had the little talk show and stuff like that. To obviously what we would then go into the world, go into the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, and so on and so forth. But it does a good job in the first episode of capturing his rise to the top within the business, taking over his dad's position, his dad's personal life with him as well, how they got on or didn't get on so much, or the contradicting stories. They've done a really good job, I must admit, the first episode of just setting the scene, and that's the way it should be done. A lot of this as well was captured previously in other docuseries like Dark Side of the Ring. They've talked about elements of Vince McMahon Senior or McMahon Senior with Junior, and the territorial days, and the confrontations within that, and how the other territories didn't accept that, and they didn't take too kindly to what Vince was doing. So yeah, it's not new information, but for the new viewer who might not know, it does a very good job of encapsulating that within the 51-minute time frame that there is. So that is the rundown of the first episode, Junior, titled, and don't forget it is actually available now on Netflix to stream, Mr. McMahon, the docu-series. Very good watch so far. We'll be continuing with it, and I'll be giving you another rundown as well, episode by episode. That's how we do it here, all right? So don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the flip side, guys. Episode 2 coming up next. Take care.